Detroit has long stood as the heart of American industrial might, a city whose very name is synonymous with the rise of the automobile and the promise of progress. Its skyline, once a beacon of prosperity, still echoes with the ambition and determination that built a nation on four wheels. For over a century, its sprawling factories have tirelessly churned out the vehicles that put the nation on wheels, transforming raw materials into the cars and trucks that shaped the American way of life. Generations of workers found purpose and pride on these assembly lines, forging not just machines, but a legacy. The names Ford, General Motors, and Chrysler are woven into the very fabric of the nation's history, their logos standing as symbols of innovation, resilience, and the enduring spirit of American manufacturing. But Detroit's fortunes have always been tied to the health of the auto industry. When the industry thrives, so does the city. When it falters, the effects ripple through every neighborhood and household. The global automotive landscape is in constant flux, and Detroit has faced challenge after challenge, from the oil crises of the 1970s to fierce competition from foreign automakers, especially from Japan and Europe. Each era has tested the city's adaptability and resolve. Now, a new threat emerges: government tariffs on imported steel and aluminum. These essential materials are the backbone of every vehicle, and any disruption in their supply or cost sends shockwaves through the entire industry. These measures, intended to protect domestic producers, have upended an industry that has long relied on a complex web of global supply chains. Automakers must now navigate a landscape where uncertainty is the only constant. When the cost of steel and aluminum rises, automakers face a difficult choice: absorb the increased expenses and risk shrinking profits, or pass those costs on to consumers, making cars less affordable for everyday Americans. Today the effects are real, felt across Detroit and the American manufacturing landscape. Workers worry about job security, families feel the pinch, and communities brace for the impact of decisions made far beyond their city limits. The city stands at a crossroads, its resilience tested by economic pressures that strike at the very core of its production process. The echoes of past triumphs linger, but the path forward is uncertain. The future of this iconic industry hangs in the balance. Detroit's story is still being written, shaped by the challenges it faces today and the determination of those who call it home. Stellantis, the global automotive giant born from the high-profile merger of Fiat Chrysler and PSA Group, quickly found itself at the epicenter of a rapidly escalating economic storm. The company, with its vast network of factories and suppliers, was uniquely vulnerable to sudden changes in trade policy. Practically overnight, Stellantis was thrust onto the front lines, grappling with the immediate fallout of new tariffs that sent shockwaves through the entire industry. The Trump-era tariffs, 25% on steel and 10% on aluminum, didn't just nudge prices upward, they created a massive, unexpected financial burden that rippled through every department. Suddenly, billions of dollars in unplanned costs appeared on the balance sheets, forcing Stellantis executives to rethink every aspect of their operations, from procurement to production schedules. Procurement teams scrambled to secure affordable materials, as every pound of steel and aluminum became more expensive, squeezing already razor-thin profit margins and putting immense pressure on supply chains. The impact was immediate and severe. Projects that once promised innovation and growth were shelved, investments in new technology were delayed, and the pace of research and development slowed to a crawl. The tariffs, which were intended to protect American industry, instead siphoned away crucial capital that Stellantis needed for growth, modernization, and staying competitive in a rapidly evolving market. As the financial strain deepened, Stellantis was forced to make tough decisions about its U.S. operations, including temporary plant closures and difficult conversations with its workforce. The path forward grew increasingly murky, with the company caught between rising costs at home and fierce global competition abroad, making strategic planning more challenging than ever. What began as an initial shock soon evolved into a sustained crisis, threatening not just jobs and production, but the very future of Stellantis's presence in the American automotive landscape. The financial squeeze at Stellantis quickly hit the factory floor. Temporary production halts at key U.S. plants weren't due to lack of demand, but to unsustainable manufacturing costs. Each shutdown sent shockwaves through communities dependent on auto jobs. Suppliers, logistics, and local businesses all felt the pain. Layoffs followed as the company struggled to stay afloat. Skilled workers lost jobs they'd held for years, and those remaining faced constant anxiety. Union leaders fought to protect jobs, but their leverage was limited. The story of tariffs became personal for thousands of American families. Policy meant to protect industry was, in reality, dismantling part of its workforce. Stellantis wasn't alone. GM and Ford faced the same storm. The entire American auto industry was caught in a whirlwind of uncertainty, with each company scrambling to respond to rapidly changing conditions. Tariffs added billions to their costs, forcing both companies to cut spending and rethink their lineups. Suddenly, every dollar counted, and executives had to make tough decisions about where to invest and where to pull back. Less profitable models were axed, with resources shifted to high-margin trucks and SUVs. Sedans and compact cars, once staples of American roads, were quietly phased out as the companies doubled down on what sold best. Gradually, sticker prices rose, making new vehicles less affordable for many families. The dream of owning a brand new car slipped further out of reach for average Americans, as automakers struggled to balance rising costs with consumer demand. The companies walked a tightrope, trying to protect profits without losing customers. Every move was scrutinized, and the pressure to deliver results was higher than ever. Long-term plans were delayed or scaled back, and some U.S. investments were put on hold. Projects that once promised growth and innovation were shelved, as uncertainty clouded the industry's outlook. Ford even canceled plans to import the Focus Active from China, removing it from the U.S. market. This decision signaled just how much the global supply chain had been disrupted, and how quickly strategies could change. The uncertainty made investing in American manufacturing riskier. Companies hesitated to commit to new factories or expansions, worried that the rules of the game could shift again at any moment. The ripple effects of tariffs went far beyond raw material costs, shaping strategy and product availability for years. Suppliers, dealers, and workers all felt the impact as the industry adjusted to a new reality. The Detroit auto giants were forced to adapt, but at a significant cost. Their resilience was tested, and the choices they made would shape the future of American manufacturing. The industry's future was more uncertain than ever. As the storm clouds gathered, everyone, from executives to assembly line workers, wondered what the next chapter would bring. The North American auto industry relies on a seamless supply chain across the US, Canada, and Mexico. Tariffs disrupted this system, adding costs and paperwork at every border crossing. Parts moved back and forth, accumulating expenses and delays. Suppliers in Canada and Mexico struggled to stay competitive, some shutting down under the pressure. US automakers faced sourcing headaches and production delays. The once efficient system began to fracture, forcing companies to reconsider their supply chains. Some explored reshoring production, but rebuilding networks is slow and costly. The tariffs, meant to boost domestic manufacturing, destabilized the very system that made North America competitive. The industry entered a period of costly, chaotic readjustment. The world noticed America's tariffs and hit back. The EU, China, Canada, and Mexico imposed retaliatory tariffs, targeting US-made goods, especially cars. American vehicles suddenly became more expensive abroad, pricing them out of key markets. Plants that once served global customers now faced shrinking demand. Investment in U.S. factories for export dried up as companies questioned the value of building in America. The trade war strained alliances and turned partners into adversaries. International cooperation gave way to disputes, weakening the global trading system. For U.S. automakers, the result was a hostile, unpredictable environment. Retaliatory tariffs created new barriers, leaving American workers and companies caught in the crossfire. The industry's global reach was suddenly a liability. Tariffs and trade wars hit consumers hardest. Automakers passed higher costs down the line, raising prices on new cars and trucks. Even modest increases, combined with inflation, put new vehicles out of reach for many. Choices shrank as companies cut less profitable models and trimmed options. The used car market surged, driving prices up there as well. For many families, buying a car became a bigger financial challenge. The impact of trade policy was felt in every dealership and driveway. The burden was shared by millions of Americans. Stellantis responded with a bold two-pronged strategy. The company doubled down on its most profitable brands, Jeep and Ram, maximizing revenue from loyal customers. Simultaneously, it accelerated its push into electric vehicles, investing in new models and retooling plants. EVs offered a way to sidestep some tariff impacts and tap into a growing market, but the transition was risky and expensive. requiring billions in investment. Stellantis faced the challenge of managing today's crisis while betting on tomorrow's technology. Success depended on consumer adoption and the unpredictable future of trade policy. The company's recovery plan was a calculated gamble. Its fate hinged on both execution and the shifting winds of global economics. The stakes had never been higher. The crisis forced Detroit's automakers and policymakers to rethink everything. Could an industry built on global supply chains survive in a protectionist era? Some saw a future in reshoring production, but that meant higher costs and a long, painful transition. Others hoped for a return to open trade, restoring efficiency and stability. The outcome depended on global negotiations, far beyond the automakers' control. Ultimately, Detroit's survival would hinge on innovation. The shift to electric and autonomous vehicles was already underway. The current turmoil could be the catalyst for a leaner, more agile industry. Detroit's history is one of resilience. Now, it must navigate immediate turmoil while investing in the future of mobility.